Islam Moors, I want to say happy holy day to all the Moors here holding to this holy day. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I would like to ask everybody who is able to rise, please to stand with us and face the east as we recite the Moorish American prayer. We do so as we face the east with our heels together so that our feet are at a 45-degree angle. And then holding up our arms perpendicular, we hold up 2 fingers on the right and 5 on the left. Please repeat after me. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, through Ali. Amen. All right, Islam Moors, I want to announce that this meeting is now open. This is the Moorish Science Temple of America, temple number 30, Columbus, Ohio. First and foremost, we always rise, giving the highest of praise to our creator, sustainer, our Father God, Allah. We also give honors to our divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for bringing us our divine creed and nationality so that we may learn to love instead of hate. We extend honors to the forerunner to the prophet, a modern day John the Baptist, our brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey, for preparing the way for Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And we also extend honors to the Moorish and the American flags. We extend honors to the Charter and its 10 wonders. And we also extend honors to the first appointed Supreme Grand Sheikh by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and that is our dear brother E. Millie Ill. We extend honors to all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, to all the faithful Muslims here on this holy day. Lastly, we extend honors to the office of the Supreme Grand Sheikh and Supreme Grand Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam, Brother Jackson Bey, would you please read our divine constitution and bylaws?
Islam Grand Sheikh, I rise, giving all praise to Allah, honor to the Prophet Drew Ali, honor to the forefathers and foremothers, and honor to the Asiatic nations and the Muslims all over the world. Salvation, Allah, unity. The Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce law with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2.
Join the
All
meeting.
meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest, because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is a holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are part and partial of the government and must live life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we're teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are part and partial of the said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Acts 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you're entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Noble Drew Ali, founder, Moorish American Prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. The Moorish Science Temple of America, home office, of Noble Drew Ali, home office, Chicago, Illinois, USA, Islam, Islam, Islamism. Happy holiday, Muslims.
Islam and gratitude, brother. Brother Kobe, would you please read the writs?
Islam, Grand Sheikh. Arise, give perfect praise to the great God Allah. Rise, give honor to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Rise, give homage to the forerunner, Marcus Messiah Garvey, the Harbinger. Rise, give honors to all ills and bays, all Muslims on the call, everything Moorish, and on the planet. Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members they must end all radical speeches while at work, or in their homes, or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their rewards from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law laid down to them by the prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out a divine plea to all Moorish Americans. They do their part in protecting the prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace, Noble Drew Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Islam. This is instructions from your prophet Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefather, divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is on now. But the weak can comprehend it not. The end of times are drawing near. So says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Drew Ali. And that is why many hearts have turned to stone. Many have eyes to see, but cannot see, ears to hear, but cannot hear, lest they'll be confounded of their sins. These are the trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace, your divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. To be proclaimed in every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There's a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of
That
our
over
side of the
there.
nation that claimed that I was a joke and unreal. But now, since they found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens. They are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that pay their divine respects to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I need finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Happy Holy Day, Muslims.
Islam, gratitude, brother.
Additional laws for the Moorish Americans by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Act 1. Grand sheikhs and governors and heads of all temples, all businesses. Each said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Before acting upon by any members, let it be finance property or any line of life that will cause the members to sacrifice finances, etc., that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under a heavy restriction, etc., by the Prophet or the Grand Sheikh. Act 2. All members are to attend their ADUP meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on a meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second he will be fined $1, which will go on your emergency fund. If member is working, his monthly dues must be paid, and if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3. It is the lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able in finance, to aid me in saving the nation, and if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hands, and I will have to enforce the law to save the nation. Act 4. All members, while up making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5. All members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire, and let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so, because out from your Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality in their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this state government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali the Prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his Father God Allah.
Islam Wars. We're going to be in chapter 30 today, but before we do that, I do want to speak on some things that I think are important, especially for us to know and understand in this day and time, right? We're not playing around with this at all, Moors. Um, Before we do that, though, I would like to ask just two things. For the brother that's here that it says Jamal for your name, please let us know where you're calling from on the mic, and then also in the chat. Just share your name, whatever your surname and your title is, and your email, phone number.
It's Jamal Dogan.
Oh,
I'm
Islam.
coming out of Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah,
Attended a couple other meetings.
Islam, brother. Yeah, I remember you. Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while, and I still have still got them on a calendar, so I got still get the notifications. I just wanted to be in attendance today, so I hope not intruding too much.
Islam, Muslim, you holding to the holy day. That's what we supposed to be doing. All right, for the brother calling from the 570 area code, brother or sister, sorry, please let us know your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Brother D. Day, Miami, Florida.
Okay, Islam, brother. All right, so let's go ahead and get things started up. Like I said, we're gonna be in chapter 30 today. But before we do that, I do have a few key things that I wanted to touch on, things that I think are important for all of us Muslims to know. So first, hang on a moment. So when the prophet was speaking about the Moors and letting us know what we need to do to save ourselves, he said that he brought us everything that we need to save ourselves. He was holding up the Koran Questionnaire, which is the 101 questions. He was holding up the Koran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, which is really just a pamphlet, right? It's not some big old thick book, right? It's a pamphlet with 48 chapters in it. And then he was also holding up the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. And he said, this is all we need. And what was he speaking about? This is all we need to establish ourselves as who we are, having our own custom culture, our own laws, which every civilized people must have, and then understanding our connection to the Creator so that we no longer have to go through anyone else. We've talked about this over and over again, how just the first two questions, who made you? Allah. Who is Allah? Allah is the Father of the universe. This lets it be known that we know who our Creator is. We know that right there in the Declaration of Independence, right, or in the Constitution, it's saying that man is endowed with inalienable rights, and he's endowed with these rights through his Creator. We know that this was a Declaration of Independence for us as Moorish Americans. We're no longer Christians. We're no longer, and not knocking Christianity or the Christian church, but we are no longer Negroes who've been given Christianity, savage Negroes who've been given a religion through the European. And in other words, the European's your creator without even knowing that, right? So we no longer need that. Now we have the same rights as everyone else. And in addition to having the same rights as everyone else, we're not sitting up here saying we're not American. In addition to having the same rights as everyone else, also through our religion, we have the right to rebuild our nation. This is a part of our religion. No one can touch it. We now have the ability to come in. Now we have to get our people together because we in amnesia. We don't even know who we are. We can gather our people together, re-educate, and do everything that we need to do to empower ourselves and build our nation.
and it's not an act of treason. We're not doing anything crazy, right? And so this is what we're doing more is when we're just looking at the symbolism here on this Quran questionnaire, it's so easy just to go to overlook this, to think nothing of it, right? But we as Moorish Americans know not to do that. You see the prophet lifting a woman out of, looks like out of the water, and he's got one foot on the ground. But we know that there's symbolism in this, powerful symbolism in this. When we look in Revelations chapter 10 in the Bible, you have the angel and the little scroll. It says, then I saw another mighty angel coming down from heaven. He was robed in a cloud with a rainbow above his head. His face was like the sun and his legs were like fiery pillars. He was holding a little scroll which lay open in his hand. He planted his right foot on the sea and his left foot on the land. And he gave a loud shout like a roar of a lion when he shouted, the voices of the seven thunders spoke. And when the seven thunders spoke, I was about to write, but I heard a voice from heaven say, seal up what the seven thunders have said and do not write it down. Then the angel I had seen standing on the sea and on the land raised his right hand to the heaven. And he swore by him who lives forever and ever, who created the heavens and all that is in them, the earth and all that is in it, and the sea and all that is in it, and said, there will be no more delay. But in the days when the seventh angel is about to sound his trumpet, the mystery of God will be accomplished, just as he announced to his servants, the prophets. Okay, and I'll read the next verse, verse 8. Then the voice that I had heard from heaven spoke to me once more. Go take the scroll that lies open in the hand of the angel who is standing on the sea and on the land. So I went to the angel and asked him to give me the little scroll. Okay? And so once again, it's referred to as a scroll, as a little scroll. For the second time, this little book is referred to as a little scroll. This angel who is standing on the sea and on the heaven, who is revealing the mystery of God. It says the mystery of God will be accomplished. There will be no more delay. Okay? This is in Revelations. Revelations is so symbolic. There's so much symbolism in there, that if we don't know what we're reading, we have no idea how this even applies to us. All right? But right here, you have that seventh angel with his foot in the sea and then one foot on the land. And many will look at this and say, we got to uplift the woman. We got to uplift the woman. That's why he's uplifting the woman. And that's one way of looking at it. But that's also a simple way of looking at it, because it says on her hip, humanity. He's lifting fallen humanity out of the cares of the world. How do we know that this is saying uplifting fallen humanity? Because that is one of the main points of the Moorish Science Temple of America. It's written in the prophet's literature. It says that we are trying to uplift fallen humanity. So you have a woman who looks unconscious, right? Don't we say conscious, unconscious? So you have unconscious humanity. That's fallen humanity, unconscious, unaware of their true nature. And if we're unaware of our true nature, we are drowning in the cares of the world. And he's got one foot on the solid rock of salvation. This lifts you out of the cares of the world. So what is this salvation, this solid rock of salvation that lifts us up out of the cares of the world? All Moorish Americans have to know this. Not because I said so. Not because I said so. The prophet deemed it so. This is the only way to salvation. So we must know what this salvation is. It ain't just in saying I'm a Moor or just I'm gonna file some paperwork. Like, since when does that work? We think people are gonna just bow down to some paperwork. Yeah, right. So what is this solid rock of salvation? What is it that the prophet gave us that lifts us onto the solid rock of salvation? That's why I'm saying all Moors must notice. Listen today. Make sure that you're listening. I'm going to try to speed through this so it's not taking long. The prophet set it up so that our meetings are supposed to be, ideally around 45 minutes, maybe up to an hour and a half. We're trying to keep it, in a nice fashion, right? I used to fall asleep in church. We're not trying to do that. We're not trying to bore anybody, right? So we're going to, but more is pay attention to this and share this and get the children to listen, because like we really need this, especially in this day and age. I don't want to go on and on about why these are the last days with all the craziness going on around us. I'm not trying to be all negative and make people scared and think this is horrible, is bad. But look, these are the end times. And so as we go to chapter 48, I want to read briefly just a few verses in here. The end of time and the fulfilling of the prophecies. Remember, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the last prophet in these days, is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared divinely in due time by Allah to redeem men from their sinful ways and to warn them of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. Some of that great wrath, it's natural disasters. They're literally, natural disasters, not even something that's been caused by man. But then we also have things that are being caused by men. A lot of people were shook up when they saw the bombs and stuff being dropped in Israel, because they've been pushing for this war in the Holy Land for the longest, right? They call it Megiddo. This war in Megiddo, it's the war, it's the last war, right? They've been pushing it for that for the longest. So that's making a lot of people think, and look at it and maybe think it's the last days. But no, for real, these are the last days. It's the end of an age, right? We're not scared. Moorish Americans shouldn't be scared. We know the time is measured in cycle ages. This is the end of one age. The prophet came at the end of the age of Pisces to prepare us for this new time that we are going into. So we want to get back to that solid rock of salvation, because like we saw in the image, right? Fallen humanity. If we don't find that salvation, we are drowning in the cares of the world. We don't want to be drowning in the cares of the world. So the prophet gave us the salvation. So as we go to chapter 48, the last chapter in the Holy Koran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, all Moorish Americans, you automatically know, right, what that salvation is. So, let's go to verse 7. It says, therefore, we are returning the church and Christianity back to the European nations, as it was prepared by their forefathers for their earthly salvation. It was a business move, right? They had to show that they were civilized. We could participate in trade. We are civilized, so they chose Christianity. They created the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, and all of these other things. They created some things that's not even in the Bible, but we're not going to talk about all that. While we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam, which was founded by our forefathers for our earthly and divine salvation. Earthly and divine. Why is it earthly and divine? So earthly, if we truly come into Islam, it's going to guarantee our earthly salvation. So we don't have to worry about all this stuff that's going on. We'll have everything that we need. But divine, because we're also returning to our true nature. The prophet's not bringing us to Islam, so that we can be slaves to the Arabs, right? He deemed this fit for our earthly and divine salvation. So he's returning us to Islam, because as we return to Islam, we return to our true nature. We learn of our higher and lower self. And then throughout this Quran that we have, we are given the tools on how to subdue our own lower self, on how to unfold Allah within each and every one of us. So we're not given some spooky, superstitious religion. We're not doing what other people are doing. We have our own way of life. Moorish Americans, there's no way to truly be a Moorish American and you leaving out Islam or Islamism, right? This ain't what anyone else is practicing. Nobody else in the world can tell us how to be a real Muslim, how to really practice Islam. Our prophet brought this to us. And by us returning to Islam, we return to our true nature, which is Allah. Allah is in each and every one of us, right? So we are returning to this for our earthly and divine salvation. That's the solid rock of salvation that the prophet is uplifting fallen humanity to. so that we don't drown. We're not suffering, drowning in the cares of the world. Okay? So we're returning to something that is actually ancient and divine. Learn of your forefathers' ancient and divine creed. This is why we're supposed to be here every holy day. It's not just something just to be doing something, right? This is real for us. We are returning to our true nature, and there's no way around this. This is truly for our earthly and divine salvation. And then getting back to the symbolism now with that Koran questionnaire. And remember, we're talking about this for a reason, right? Right? You know, fallen humanity, right? That, you know, lifting us out of the cares of the world. Let's go back to what we were reading in Revelations, because that key that's in Revelation, speaking about this seventh angel who has this little scroll that's going to be sealed up, right? The seven seals. That's why we have the circle 7 Quran, the 7 seals right there on this little scroll that the prophet brought to us. You can't, if you need somebody else to confirm this for you, I don't know what to tell you. If you need somebody like Mike Wallace on CNN to come and tell you this, I don't know what to tell you. They're not going to confirm this for you, even though it's plain as day that this revelation is talking about our very own prophet, one of us from North Carolina, right? So if you need this to be on The View or on some other show, I don't know what to tell you. You need somebody else to tell you this is what it is. And when these other people try to I guess tell you what the symbolism in Revelations means, they're only going to give you one way of looking at it, right? If you just type that Revelation angel with 7 seals, you type that on Google, what are you going to see? They're going to say it represents events that take place on the earth during each seal's time period. They're going to tell you that these represent prophecies of the last judgment, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. This is the only perspective they're giving to you, right? But let's look at another perspective on this. Okay? Hang on. So if we're looking at the 7 seals and we want to gain a spiritual perspective on what this means, right? I'm going to give you another way of looking at this. All right. So you have in Revelations 5, you have the book with the 7 seals. The chapter 5 in Revelations actually introduces us to the book sealed with 7 seals. All right. And it's telling us no man was able to lift the seals and open the book to read it. They tell us that only the Lamb is found worthy to take the book and open the seals. That's what it's telling us in chapter 5 in Revelations. What does it tell us in page 3 in our Holy Koran? It says that the reason these lessons have not been known is because the Muslims of India, Egypt, and Palestine had these secrets. And what they do, kept them back from the outside world. And when the time was appointed by Allah, they loosened the keys and freed the secrets. And for the first time in ages, these secrets have been delivered in the hands of the Muslims of America. Right? That's by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So this is another reason why they're not going to talk about this on CNN. They're definitely not going to talk about it on the 700 Club or any of these other things, right? They're not. It doesn't mean they don't know. But nobody else is going to confirm this for you and tell you how this all applies to you. Right? And especially coming to the lowly Negro. Right? Nobody's trying to tell you this. Nobody's trying to let you know what's going on. Even our own people, man. Even some of our own people that claim to be Moors, they're not holding to it. They're not being true to it. They're false flagging or whatever you want to call it. So the Lamb is found worthy to take the book and open the seals. And then the book of the 7 seals symbolizes full self-understanding and self-mastery. So everybody else, they talking about 7 seals. That's the horsemen, the apocalypse, and they telling you all this stuff, but in reality, in the deeper sense, from the spiritual perspective, this book with the seven seals is known amongst those who look into the spiritual nature, right? It's understood that that book means self-understanding and full self-mastery. That's what this Holy Koran or the Moorish Science Temple of America is all about. Self-mastery and self-understanding. The very first chapter in this Holy Koran, creation and fall of man, this very first chapter lets us know our true nature. Lets you know that Allah is in you, but man himself is not the body, nor the soul. He is a spirit and part of Allah. And they have us at such a savage level that we think it's cool to be savage. We think it's cool to be a beast. So this ain't even appealing to us. I don't want to know about that. I don't want to know about being spirit, being one with Allah, being connected to everything in existence, having powers and abilities that sound like science fiction. I don't want nothing to do with that. I'm about this savage life, right? So it's no coincidence that that's being done to us. But man himself is not the body, but they keeping us stuck at the body. I'm just trying to gratify these lower desires. So, people ain't even trying to hear that you're not the body. You're not even the soul. You have another aspect that is spirit, and it is one with Allah that never left Allah. That means you don't have to be drowning out here in the cares of the world. You're connected to Allah. That's like finding out that you are royalty. You've been royalty the whole time, but you out here slumming it. You out here suffering, being homeless, living in a tent, getting messed with, right? Going to jail, getting beat, having to fight for your life. Whole time you rich. You don't even have to be suffering. This is our true nature. That's what it means when the prophet says, lifting us out of the cares of the world, not drowning in the cares of the world, returning our true nature to us. And they have us at such a beast-like level that I ain't trying to hear that. Let me know how I can get, drive without a license. I just want to know how I can get out of jail for free. Right? Yeah, I'm pop these pills. Right? That's all I care about. Just stuck at a beast level and don't even see it. Even those, some of us who claim to. So that's why I said all Moorish Americans have to know what this solid rock of salvation is. If you don't know what that solid rock of salvation is, just give it up. You might as well go somewhere else. Because you're going to be drowning in the cares of the world. It doesn't matter what you claim. It doesn't matter if you're wearing a turban or a fez or claiming to be a Moor, claiming to be whatever. It don't matter. So you can't leave out the Islam. You get that? We all get that. We understand that. That's for the earthly and the divine salvation. So hopefully I'm explaining that well enough. But this has all been in our face this whole time, even if we didn't see the true nature of what the prophet is bringing to us. So and then nowadays, it's just talk. Nowadays somebody, oh yeah, you God, they'll tell you about it, but they don't do nothing. So the Holy Quran actually gives us the tools now on how to subdue this carnal nature, how to subdue this lower self, and to unfold the Creator. And so the whole time when it was talking about this book with the seven seals and Revelations, which some of us might never even have heard of, this whole time it was talking about what this prophet brought to us from North Carolina. That book symbolizes self-understanding and self-mastery. The seals on the book represent barriers to the process of self-understanding. Most people are not yet capable of gaining full insight into themselves because of the presence of certain mental and emotional blocks, seals. And then the Lamb, which is the angel who brings this scroll, the Lamb represents the kind, gentle, and forgiving nature of our own Christ self, right? Totally harmless, all powerful, but harmless, right? And giving us the insight that we need to open those seals, because ideally all of these seals will be sealed up. It will be a circle 7. And so this is what the prophet brought to us, right? And then the opening of the seven seals that's spoken of in Revelation 6, the opening of the seven seals by the Lamb, that's symbolizing gaining insight, leading to self-understanding and self-discipline. And the exact opposite of self-discipline is pushed at us. It's pushed at us through everything, especially through the music. Have no discipline. Be a fool out here. There was even a rapper named Fulio that got shot in the foot like a few weeks ago, right? So it's cool now to be a fool, to be a savage fool, a beast, right? This is what's pushed at us, and they have no discipline. So, and then we see that those who've been studying, who hold to the holy day, you know that this teaches us self-discipline. Discipline of what? The lower self, the carnal nature. You can't unfold a lie within if you are still a slave to the lower self. We still all about gratifying those lower desires. And then each seal that is open represents the gaining of another step of insight into the inner workings of our own human nature. Just wanted to share just some insight about the seven seals from a spiritual perspective. There's more on that, but we gonna stop right there. I see you, brother Cole Bay. On that note, I yield the floor. Islam, brother.
Islam Grand Sheikh, I rise and prayer, praise the great God Allah. Rise give honor to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Marshall Zai Garvey, and all the Moors on the call. Just wanted to come back on this great this great meeting on the Friday, just on the aspect of like even saying like I could just say like, I have a brother on the call. Say like if I play anything that we speak about, you know what I'm saying, the Moorish Symbol of America, or I play like any other Moorish American thing, that kind of like they'll come in, like while you at work in construction and stuff like that, they'll kind of come in and be like, why you playing this? But you can play any ghetto, savage, any type of music like that, super loud. But if anything about uplifting you and you get our people hearing their self and knowing their truth and learn their self, that's when you really know what you're doing and what you're doing is right, and everything that what we doing is right, and everything of the truth has to really come out. Because how come you can listen to the worst of us, but you can't listen to the truth of us? Islam, I yield the floor on this holy day.
Islam, brother, that's powerful. I'm glad you said that. I mean, it's definitely true. You know, it's crazy because you can't. I mean, just the fact that you're here, that you haven't gotten off the call, man, I ain't trying to hear this mess. They like church. Just the fact that you didn't do that, you still here, means that you got the calling. You're here for a greater purpose. You here to subdue that lower self and bring out Allah within you, because a lot of people can't even hear this message, man. And there's nothing you can do. You can't get it through to people who's not ready. And that's because the lower self has a strong grip. And everyone is tied to the lower self, each and every one of us. So it's not like any of us is floating around here, you know, with no lower self. So, you know, it's strong. And yeah, there's a lot of people that can't even hear this message, man. Islam, I yield the floor, brother.
Islam, and also just even going that, even through this week, just even when I was talking like maybe a month or two ago about like how Florida and with our Asiatic, like I had an interview on Tuesday at a company, and at a company Tuesday is like an Arab guy, you know, short guy, you know, kind of chubby, and he gave me a story about this guy named Antoine Booth that came in with holy pants at the interview with flip flops on, but the main point of it was the dread, you know. So, and you know, I'm in Florida. Everybody has natural hair, so like I'm looking at him and I'm thinking in my head at my age, like I've heard this up north a lot. Cause I mean, when I was up north and I was younger, I'm talking about 19 years old, I had heard Roto-Rooter. I was in flat Roto-Rooter.
They wanted me to cut my mustache. Oh, I'm a man serious. And even then, I'm looking at him, and Sister Cole Bay went and typed an email.
Islam, brother, it got real low. We can't hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Islam.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Yeah, and then through that, Sister Cole Bay wrote an email, just letting you know the law calmly in an intelligent tone, like the prophet said, like as far as, and took a picture of the interview, like what I had on. I mean, like you're telling me a story about somebody had on holy jeans. The main thing was the dreads. And he's like a look. And in my mind, I'm like a look. I'm like TWC even in Ohio. TWC fixes the restaurant machinery. And I came to the interview, clean dress and stuff. So through that, they looked at that the next day, through the interview Friday, today. Got an interview again, and they apologized about all that through the whole week, and got that for a higher salary than even I was even shooting for. And through that, just going at it like what the prophet said, with the intelligent tone and what you know, and just knowing like, hey, not using your lower self, meaning the emotion of the fact that you, because again. Yeah, definitely. Like I'm listening to the dude, it pissed me off, but in my mind, I'm just cracking jokes in my mind. I'm subduing my lower self by cracking jokes in my mind. So why tell him? And then it went over him to where, things got situated with him to where I'm in. So Islam, you gotta understand what the prophet instructions are saying, as well as subduing the lower self. And using the family unit to get things accomplished, because the family is your nation. Islam, are you at the floor?
Islam, brother. Islam, definitely in gratitude. And so as we go into chapter 30, right, we're still speaking about the social duties, right? So these chapters, we've been going through 25 through we're gonna do 25 next week, but 25 through 30, pretty much. We're speaking about our nation, speaking about the social duties that we have within our nation. And this is important because all nations of the earth have their own covenant, their own written covenants. They all have their own doctrines, right? That even if it's not written down, it's in their hearts, it's in their minds, and it allows them to be successful, right? And then the only people that don't have that, like their standard of conduct, is the Asiatics of America, right? And that's due to the stuff we've been through over time, enslavement, the lynchings, and all these things that occurred, right? So our memory got erased. So the prophet is bringing us back in. He's into the covenant, and he's showing us how to come into the covenant, how to be able to interact and make sure that we are in alignment with Allah's laws. And so just going back to this, that's why, if there's people, Asiatics who ain't trying to hear, there's nothing you can do. Because the divine side of the Moorish Science Temple is not hard to teach. It's impossible to teach because you must have the light before you can receive the light. You can't teach this to an ape. You can't teach this to a beast. You've got to have something within you that says, I want more. I'm tired of drowning out here, right? It's hard out here, right? You got to have something that's like, man, I'm sick of this. I want something better. So this is what the prophet brought to us. And as we go into chapter 30, holy instruction from the prophet, the social duties. The prophet speaks about our social conditions a lot. He had a lot to say about it. In Moorish Leader's historical message to America, he said, the problems of life are largely social and economic. In a profound sense, they are moral and spiritual, right? Meaning, if we really take care of the moral and spiritual part in a more profound sense, we'll hit that social and economic and our divine side, right? And he spoke about that a lot, right? And a divine warning by the prophet for the nations. He says, so I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with a divine plea to all true American citizens. He's calling on everyone. That's why also we're not supposed to be out here. We're not supposed to be racist and ignorant and foolish and talking bad about other people, right? Based off of their, ethnic backgrounds. We don't do that. The prophet is calling out a divine plea. It wouldn't be a divine plea if he's like, I'm talking about the white man, the devil, we're talking about a divine plea to all true American citizens. We're not trying to say they're not Americans. We're not trying to put anyone down. Any more who's doing that is ignorant, and they need to stop, or they need to call themselves something else, because all that they could do is try to paint us in a bad light. We don't talk bad about anyone, right? So the prophet is using divine wisdom. He's calling out a divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin which has been committed and is being practiced by my people in the United States of America. Because nobody cares about us playing the victim, right? He's like, nah, I want you, please help me remove this great sin. It's being practiced by my people because they know it is not the true and divine way. Without understanding, they have fallen from the true light into utter darkness of sin. Okay? So the prophet is calling on assistance to help us to get back in alignment with the Creator, right? Bringing it back to us. And so as we go into chapter 30, right, we have these social duties. When thou considereth thy wants, when thou beholdeth thy imperfections, acknowledge his goodness, O son of humanity, who honored thee with humanity, endowed thee with speech, and placed thee in society to receive and confer reciprocal helps and mutual obligations, protection from injuries, thy enjoyments of the comforts and the pleasures of life. All of these thou owest to the assistance of others, and couldst not enjoy but in the bands of society. Wouldn't matter if we're in a society where it's just all us, or if we're in a society like we are right now, where there's people here from all over the world, right? We need to see the positive in that and appreciate. He's giving us gratitude, a way to look at everything. And so you're not taking these things for granted. We're not trying to find ways to get over and take advantage of the system, right? We want to contribute. And we know that we wouldn't have the things that we take for granted. Even if you're just playing video games, you can't play video games if there's not all these people that's creating electricity for you, keeping all of these things going so we can do stuff that we tend to take for granted, right? We couldn't have that if we were out in the bush somewhere and we had to walk with a pail of water, back to the house. Like, come on, man. So we owe it to the assistance of others. We can't take any of this for granted. It is thy duty, therefore, to be a friend to mankind, as it is thy interest that man should be friendly to thee. So Moorish Americans can't be a burden on society, especially, I'm talking about people that, able-bodied, that are strong, able to work and stuff like that. We can't be a burden to society. I just don't want to work. I just want to be lazy, right? It is our duty to be a friend to mankind, right? To assist others, to be industrious. And this is law for us. That's what I'm saying. All Moorish Americans supposed to know this. You can't be a bum. We have to get up and work and do something to assist, the community. And then if we do, now I shouldn't even say when we do have our own communities ran by us, completely, totally ran by us, it's not like if we're not holding to these laws right now, it's not like we're all of a sudden going to do right. We have to do it now. Because what if all of this stuff goes straight to hell? What if everything falls apart and we got to start all over? Right? So we need to do this now. Put this into practice now. As the rose breatheth sweetness from its own nature, so the heart of a benevolent man produces good works. Right? It's part of our nature. He enjoyeth the ease and tranquility of his own breast, and rejoiceth in the happiness and prosperity of his neighbor. He openeth not his ear unto slander. The faults and the failings of men give a pain to his heart. His desire is to do good and he researcheth out the occasions thereof, and removing the oppression of another, he relieveth himself. And once again, the prophet is bringing out Allah in us. Allah is not being unfolded in us if we're petty and trifling. You know, if we're not good, his desire is to do good, right? We're not trying to get over. He's bringing out the creator in us. And then with this being our social duties, with us doing this as a whole, what type of cities, what type of communities are we creating? We're bringing out God in us, right? Allah. So the type of communities that we're creating, things that we do, will be greater than anything anyone has ever seen before. Nobody else on earth is living like this. Everyone's falling short. We've fallen way short, right? I'm not trying to put anyone down. We down there too. So the prophet is moving us in the opposite direction, right? Then last verse, from the largeness of his mind, he comprehendeth in his wishes the happiness of all men. And from the generosity of his heart, he endeavoreth to promote it. And then it says the happiness of all men, right? We wish the best for all, and we endeavoreth to promote it. We're not trying to, down anyone, trying to oppress anyone. We're not trying to return the oppression on the white man, which is crazy when you hear people saying that, considering that the Europeans were getting traded into slavery long before it happened to us. All types of horrors were being visited upon them, which helped the ones who were in a position to enslave some of our people. It helped them to be like, okay, let's give it to them. Let's mess them up, because it was payback time. We're not trying to keep a cycle of hatred and wars and stuff going on. Like, okay, we on top now. Now we gonna destroy y'all. No, that's already happened before, but Moors don't know it because they get this sad victim story all the time. Y'all the victims. Y'all the perpetual victims. Anytime you see black anything associated with a slave, you're the descendant of slaves, right? We're not the descendant of slaves. We are the descendants of the creators of civilization. We need to give that up. So when the prophet is bringing this to us for our earthly and divine salvation, a mental transformation is supposed to take place in the minds of all Moorish American Muslims. If that transformation is not taking place, there's a problem, right? And this is why I'm saying, Moors, this is why the prophet, when he said that we have to be at our holy day meetings, our Sunday school meetings, there's no wiggle room in that. I mean, I know people, have things that come up and stuff, but he did this for our earthly and divine salvation, because no matter how wonderful you might be, maybe you way better than me, but no matter how wonderful you are, you still need to work on yourself, just like I do, right? And so we do need to put aside some time throughout the week, at least these 2 measly days, Friday and Sunday, just to, okay, this is the day I'm gonna go back to these divine instructions, making sure that throughout the week I'm working on myself, right? We can't give that up. This is a part of discipline, right? Remember, we were reading about that's why I wanted to speak about the true meaning of the 7 seals, right? From a metaphysical perspective, the prophet is giving us instructions, holy and divine instructions, which nobody else is going to tell you the real meaning of the 7 seals. The prophet is giving us instructions for self-mastery and for discipline. Discipline over what? Our self-discipline over our own lower self, self-understanding, self-discipline, and self-mastery. This is how we gain that salvation. And this is how the prophet uplifts fallen humanity to the solid rock of salvation. Okay. So on that note, though, I want to go ahead and yield the floor to questions or comments. If there's any questions or comments, more, please feel free to speak. Islam.
Islam Grand Sheik. Yeah, so I had a comment about the can you hear me?
Islam, brother, I can hear you.
Yeah, so I had a comment about when you was talking about the seven seals, and I was doing some studies through the maximum training that Brownswell Bay had online. So I was doing some trainings, and what he had said is that like the seven in the middle of the seal. I know he was talking about the charters, like that big seven represents the seven eyes of Allah, and also those whole the slits represents like the directions. And when he had said that, when you was talking about it, I looked up the scripture past of the Revelation verse. Let me pull up my phone again. Let me see here. It was Revelations chapter 5, verse 6. Let me see if I get it. Just lost that there. Let me pull it up here. Basically, what it says is in verse 6, it says, and look, Revelation 5, verse 6, it says, and I looked, and behold, in the midst of the throne of the four living beasts, in the midst of the Lamb, throughout it, had been slain, and having seven horns and seven eyes. And see, the seven also represents the seven eyes of Allah, and I think that's kind of deep. And to me, I know this not. I don't know if this is taught to us, but this what I believe. You know, you're talking about how the lion that was only the lion that was able to open up the seventh seal. To me, that kind of seems like Jesus being reincarnated into Noble Drew Ali, because you know what I'm saying, because it does talk about reincarnation, how like Elijah was reincarnated, and how Elijah was reincarnated into John the Baptist, and so that just kind of goes deep. And also too, and you were saying that this is like for self mastery, and if you take that seven and the four spaces on the circle seven, that adds up to 11, and they say like 11 is the first mastery number, so that I take that as mastery. And also too, by this being the seal of God, I take it too, because seven being the letter G, it's the seventh letter. You got the four spaces, which is D, which would be D for four for D, and you got the O, so that represents God to me in the sense right there. So you got the seven, and then you got the circle, which is the O, then you got the four, which is the D. So me, I picked that up as being as God. And with that, I give up the mic.
Islam, brother, that's powerful. So just recap for those that was listening. The brother said the seven is the G, the seventh letter of the alphabet. Then you have the circle, which is O, and then the four spaces, which would be the fourth letter of the alphabet, D. That's God right there. So that's powerful. And this Holy Koran of the Moorish Science Temple of America is giving us instructions on how to return to God. You know, how to unfold Allah within each and every one of us. And so that's powerful, you know, and that's why like the first step is showing that discipline. Be here every Friday, Sunday. Hold to it. Give yourself those 2 days of the week just to make sure we're going back over these divine instructions, because chances are you might not be reading these throughout the week. We're going over it, and we're making sure that we are now using those tools of the workshop of the mind to keep ourselves within the bounds of righteousness, to subdue our own lower self. And the reason we do that is because we know every time we do the work on our subduing our lower self, we unfold more of Allah within us. It's like you unlocking, like on a video game, you just unlock some new capability. You just unlock something else, right? We working to obtain these higher virtues because we know as we do that, we are unfolding Allah within us. So we don't know what that looks like, Moors. All right? This is why the prophet was just holding up those three things, saying, this is all you need. Now take it and save yourself. Well, you know, Moors don't really believe that it's possible, right? We don't know what this means, what we're capable of. When you unfold Allah within you, you can't be a victim. You can't be oppressed. Nobody can oppress you, right? You have power and dominion over all. In the Quran, is revealed to the Prophet Muhammad. Surah 2, Ayah 40, right? Allah made man the vice regent. He made man, meaning his caliphate. He made man his ruler on earth. But more than just that, because Allah also made the angels prostrate to man, meaning they had to bow down to man. This same man who would become a slave to his lower self and start causing war and all this trouble, right? They raised that question, like, why are we doing this? So Allah gave us dominion over all of this, even to a level that may go beyond our heads, because it even goes beyond this earth realm. We have dominion, meaning the trees, the seas, the everything must listen to us. If there's a volcano about to explode, you're supposed to be able to say stop. That sounds way out there, but that's because we're at a beast level. Of course, we can't do that right now, and we slaves to the lower self. We don't even think it's possible. When Allah made man his vice regent on earth, he wasn't talking about man that's slave to lower self. He's talking about spirit man that's one with him. All right. So this is where we're going back to, because what does it say in chapter 1 in the creation and the fall? It says that man gave up his birthrights to gratify the lower self. We gave up these birthrights. So this is revealed to us right in the beginning, because the prophet knows our nature. He knows, hey, they not even going to try to hear this if I don't tell them the benefits of it. So he gave us the benefits right in the beginning. If we listen, the man gave up his divine birthrights just to gratify his lower self. He let us know that right away, so that we know, okay, this is why I need to make sure I subdue the lower self, right? So that I can get those powers, right? Because you can't give that type of power to somebody that's, in beast mode. Islam. I yield the floor. If there's any other questions or comments, Morris, please feel free to speak. Islam.
Hey, Islam. So I have a question that's kind of off subject, but so I was doing some thinking, and so I was kind of curious too. Exactly, where do we get the name Allah from? So I know, like, different religions, they say different names for the Creator. So I know, like, in our book, in our Quran, it says like the Egyptians called the Creator, was it Tahuti? And so I'm just curious, like, where do we get the name Allah from? So I know it wouldn't be like Arabic, because Allah was, what I'm saying, the name Allah was here before the Arabic language. And so I was just curious, like, originally, like, where do we get that from? And like, how do, like, different religions get different names for the Creator? And with that, I'm just trying to have like a general understanding. So I know that we're the first religion here, and just trying to get like an overall understanding. With that, I give up the mic.
Islam. So on one aspect, we're not as concerned about the names and things that people call the Creator. We know that Allah just means the God in Arabic. We know that before Arabic, those same people were saying Allah, Allah, right? Even Jesus, right? If you're looking at historically, the people at that point in time, whether they were Christian or Hebrew or whatever, they would have been calling the Creator Allah. And so this is an older name, but at the end of the day, it just means the God. Okay. And that's one thing that we shouldn't be that caught up in. The prophet tells us to honor all true and divine prophets, because we're not, we're not so much caught up in the language barriers or differences, right? If the indigenous people in Hawaii practicing their religion, we recognize that, we respect it. We don't care what they call the Creator, right? Now, that's not saying that not to do any research if that's of interest to you. We just know that, hey, this means the God, right? The prophet is returning us to Islam. Allah is one of the many names for the Creator. And we know that for the most part, man only names that portion of the Creator that they recognize, So this is one of many. So we, the name in really of the, utmost of importance to us. It's just the understanding. It's just like if you're talking to people, that not Islamic, you can say God. You say Allah, though, they're going to know what you're talking about too, because there's almost 2 billion Muslims in the world. So it's a name that's recognized even by people who don't practice Islam and who don't speak Arabic. So it's almost universal. Islam. What were you saying, Brother Jackson Bay?
Was it though? That's what I said. When Brother Haynes said, that Allah that it's always been here, and I had to think to myself, was it though? Because that's just what I was saying. Islam.
Islam. So yeah, that's another way of looking at it, And we're not trying to take a whole bunch of time, so we just keep it moving. But that's just one way. That was just one, you know, one pronunciation, and that even before, the Arabians said Allah, for their name for the God, there was Allah, and you had a lot of people, not just people in one region, but you had several people who took that name on for the God, and then you had a whole bunch of people that said something else. So, you know, that's a rabbit hole if you want to go down it. But at the end of the day, like I think the prophet didn't even really want us to be that caught up in the language and the words, just the understanding. That's why you have the explanation in the Quran questionnaire. Who is Allah? Like what does Allah mean to us? And that's something that once again, every one of us should know. It's the second question. Who is Allah? Allah is the father of the universe. So the father is the creator. It's not taken away from the mother, but it's just keeping it real, man. You don't have anything being created without the sperm. Allah is the father of the universe. Period. He's a creator. Islam, I yield the floor to you, brother Kobe. Islam.
Islam. Real quick, I just wanted to just say one real thing, count back on all of it. It's a more Temple 7 in Chicago, Kinu Umar Bay. It is the best way. And you look at it when it comes to the word of even calling God Allah. If you look at any baby born, what is kind of that sound? Sound like Allah, 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 Allah. So Islam, I just use the floor like even on ancient times. That's probably maybe why. And Islam.
Islam, brother. Islam. Gratitude for sharing. And if there's any other questions or comments, Morris, please feel free to speak before we close out this meeting.
Yeah, Islam. I just had to throw in there when he was saying, when I was with the Hebrew Israelites, when we was learning that the letters are like the ancient, I guess like the Paleo Hebrew, I was like the first letter, like Abba Gada Hawaza. And it's kind of interesting that he said ah. That makes a lot of sense too. And with that, I give up the mic.
Islam and gratitude, brother. Are there any other questions or comments before we go into the closing? Okay, Islam. If there's no further questions or comments, I want to announce without further ado, we're going to go into the closing of the meeting. Real quick, before we read our divine warning, I too just want to share our website with you, Moors, and also want to put the call out there for donations to our temple. If you feel it in your heart to assist us in the great work of uplifting fallen humanity, make sure you go to MoorishAmericans.com. MoorishAmericans.com. That's the local website for Temple 30, Columbus, Ohio. Just scroll to the bottom and use that either the QR code or the PayPal button to send a donation to our temple. Okay. And then, of course, members, you can pay your temple dues there as well. You click at the top, go to temple dues. You can also send a donation from there if you go to the bottom. So, yes, please, if you will assist us in the great act of uplifting acts, you can send a donation there. Are there any Moors now who would like to declare their nationality and join the Moorish Science Temple of America? Remember, our prophet declared in Acts 6, with us, all members must proclaim their nationality. All right. So I put that out there. If you want to talk later, maybe have some questions, just you can go to that same website. You can click on the contact button at the top, and the contact info's on there. You fill that out. Okay, and we can speak further. And then on that note, Moors, let's go ahead and read the divine warning. A divine warning by the prophet for the nations. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and the principles that delude to slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to the state of mind, to their forefathers' divine and national principles, that they will be law abiders and receive their divine right as citizens according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish divine national movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights, unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's government, and not under a granted privilege, as has been the existing condition for many generations. You who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those that know the law in the city hall and among the officials in your government, and ask them under an intelligent tone, and they will be glad to render you a favorable reply. For they are glad to see me bring you out of darkness into light. Money doesn't make the man. It is free national standards and power that makes a man and a nation. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver and commerce, belong to the citizens alone. And without your national citizenship, by name and principles, you have no true wealth. And I am hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a national free government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of the government. I am depending on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate, and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national constitution of the United States of America. I love my people, and I desire their unity and mine back to their own free national and divine standard, because day by day they have been violating the national and constitutional laws of their government by claiming names and principles that are unconstitutional. If Italians, Greeks, English, Chinese, Japanese, Turks, and Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government of the United States of America, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all other American citizens alike. In all other governments, when a man is born and raised there and asks for his national descent name, and if he fails to give it, he is misused, imprisoned, or exiled. Any group of people that fail to answer up to the constitutional standards of law by name and principles, because to be a citizen of any government, you must claim your national descent name, because they place their trust upon issue and names formed by their forefathers. The word Negro deludes in the Latin language to the word nigger. The same as the word colored deludes to anything that is painted, varnished, and dyed. And every nation must bear a national descent name of their forefathers, because honoring thy fathers and thy mothers, your days will be lengthened upon this earth. These names have never been recognized by any true American citizens of this day. Through your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by said national government in which they live. The 14th and 15th Amendments brought the North and South in unit, placing the Southerners, who were at that time without power, with the constitutional body of power. And at that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was in force since 1774 declared all men equal and free. And if all men are declared by the free national constitution to be free and equal, since that constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendments for the salvation of our people and citizens. So, there isn't but one supreme issue for my people to use to redeem that which was lost, and that is through the above statements. Then the lion and the lamb can lie down together in yonder hills, and neither will be harmed, because love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice will be reigning in this land. In those days, the United States will be one of the greatest civilized and prosperous governments of the world. But if the above principles are not carried out by the citizens and my people in this government, the worst is yet to come. Because the great God of the universe is not pleased with the works that are being performed in North America by my people, and this great sin must be removed from the land to save it from enormous earthquakes, disease, etc. And I, the prophet, do herein believe that this administration of the government, being more wisely prepared by more genius citizens that believe in their free national constitution and laws, and through the help of such classes of citizens, I, the prophet, truly believe that my people will find the true and divine way of their forefathers and learn to stop serving carnal customs and merely ideas of man that have never done them any good but have always harmed them. So I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with the divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin which has been committed and is being practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true and divine way, and without understanding they have fallen from the true light into utter darkness of sin. And there is not a nation on earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, or economically, etc., in their present condition of their endeavorment in which they themselves try to force upon a civilized world. They will not refrain from their sinful ways of action, and their deeds have brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that brings harm to human beings on earth. And they fought the Southerner for all these great misuses, but I have traveled in the South and have examined conditions there, and it is the works of my people continuously practicing the things which bring dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect to any nation that lives the life. And I am hereby calling on all true American citizens for moral support and finance to help me in my great missionary work to bring my people out of darkness into marvelous light. From the prophet.
Right, Islam, Morris. On that note, all meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I want to ask that those who are able to stand, please rise and face the east for the closing prayer. Stand with our heels together, feet at a 45-degree angle, holding up 2 fingers on the right, 5 on the left. You now need to repeat after me. Allah, bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers' divine creed and principles. We ask this in thy holy name and the 7 Elohim. Amen. Islam, peace and love to all you Moors on this holy day. This meeting is now adjourned.
Islam. Happy holiday. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Holiday. Peace and love.